The last time I spoke to my cousin, we were at our grandmother's funeral and he said, "This family doesn't know how to love without hurting." I laughed because I didn't know what else to say, and now he won't answer my calls. Let me tell you about the last time I saw my cousin Ray. It was February. Cold enough in Richmond that your breath hung in the air. Snowflakes came down like ash. The funeral was for our grandmother, the one who basically raised both of us. Her name was Luella. She was the only one who really tried to protect us from all the things this family didn't want to talk about. Ray and I were tight as kids. I'm talking blood brother tight. Same age, same grade, lived 5 blocks apart. Summers we were at Grandma Luella's house, riding bikes, playing cards, staying up all night watching late shows and sneaking her ginger snaps. It was the only house where we didn't have to flinch when a door slammed. But like everything else in this family, things got ugly. And it all started with the secret. The one that tore us apart. Ray's dad, my Uncle Charlie, he wasn't just a mean drunk. He was worse. There were rumors for years. Little whispers. Late-night hospital visits with accidents that didn't make sense. Grandma Luella knew. I think we both knew. But Ray? He finally said it out loud. He was 17 when he told someone what Charlie did to him. I was there when he said it to his mom. I remember her face. Blank, frozen, like he had spoken in another language. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just said, "You sure about that?" And then she didn't talk to him for a week. That's how it started. Then came the rest. Cops. Family meetings. Accusations. Ugly words thrown like knives. And then the worst part, when they came to me. They asked if I'd ever seen anything. If I believed him. If I'd say something. I lied. I said no. I was scared. I didn't want to be dragged into it. I was only a year older than him. And Charlie was a big man. He coached our little league team. Everybody loved him. But I knew what Ray said was true. I knew. Because one summer, when I was 9, I felt his hand on my shoulder a little too long. Just once. And I never forgot it. But I said no. I didn't want it to be real. Ray never looked at me the same after that. He got kicked out of the house by the time he turned 18. Went to live with some friends in the East End. He didn't go to college. Didn't come around for holidays. People in the family said he was troubled. A liar. Looking for attention. I stayed quiet. I went on with my life. I got a job at a tire shop. Dated a few girls. Bought a little apartment near Forest Hill. Meanwhile, Ray dropped off the map. We only heard his name when someone needed to make an example of what happens when you stir up trouble. Then Grandma died. And everyone had to be in the same room again. At the funeral, Ray showed up late. He looked tired. Like he hadn't slept in a long time. His eyes were sunken deep and his jaw had a little shake to it. He wore a suit that didn't fit him and I could tell he didn't care. He didn't talk to anybody. Not until he saw me. I was standing near the casket looking at Luella's hands folded over a white lace cloth. Her rings were still on. She always said she wanted to be buried with them. I felt a hand on my shoulder and turned. It was him. Ray didn't say hi. Didn't hug me. Just looked me straight in the face and said, "This family doesn't know how to love without hurting." I didn't know what to do with that. So I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it hurt. And I didn't want to cry in front of everybody. He looked at me. Didn't say another word. And walked out. That was the last time I saw him. He changed his number. Deleted his social media. Didn't show up to our uncle's birthday or Christmas or my mom's retirement party. Nobody knew where he was. Or maybe they didn't care. But last week, I found out something. Something that made my stomach turn. I was at a bar near Mechanicsville. I ran into an old friend of Ray's. Some guy named Lucas we used to skateboard with. We got to talking. I asked if he'd seen Ray. Lucas looked at me. Real slow and said, "You don't know." I shook my head. He said, "Man, Ray's been homeless. On and off. He's been in and out of shelters. Couple suicide attempts. Got real bad into pills for a while. He's clean now, but barely. He's working at a gas station off Broad Street. Night shift. Sleeps in the back room sometimes." I didn't know what to say. Lucas looked me dead in the face and said, "He says you were the one person he thought would stand by him. And you didn't." I left that bar with my stomach in knots. I couldn't shake Lucas's words. You were the one person he thought would stand by him. It kept echoing in my head like a damn drum. For 3 days, I didn't sleep right. I tried calling Ray again even though I knew it was pointless. Straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. Then one night, I drove out to the gas station on Broad Street. It was around midnight. The place was half-lit, the kind of place where the lights flicker and people don't make eye contact. There was a guy behind the counter with a hoodie pulled low and a beard that looked a month old. It was him. I stepped inside. He didn't look up. I bought a bottle of water just to have an excuse. When I got to the counter, I said, "Hey, Ray." He looked up. For a second, I thought he didn't recognize me. Then his face changed. Not surprised. Just cold. Like he saw me and had already decided I didn't matter. "Hey," he said flatly. I stood there like an idiot. "I heard you were working here. Thought I'd stop by." He didn't say anything. Just scanned the water and said, "That'll be $1.19. I paid in cash. He handed me the change without looking up. "Ray, can we talk?" "No," he said. "I messed up. I know that." He looked at me then, really looked. His eyes were red, tired, hollow. "You didn't mess up," he said. "You made a choice." That hit me like a punch. "I thought if I stayed quiet it would go away," I said. "I was scared." He shook his head. "You weren't scared. You were careful. Careful about your place in the family. Careful not to be the one who made waves." He stepped back, leaning against the counter. "You know what it's like to be called a liar by your own mother? To be treated like garbage by people who used to hug you at Christmas? I had to walk through that alone. And you? You just disappeared. I didn't know how to fix it," I said. He laughed. A short, bitter sound. "You can't fix it. That's the thing. Some things don't get fixed. They get remembered." I didn't know what to say. He looked down at the counter. "You don't need to keep coming around. Just let it be. Let it stay buried like the rest of this family's trash." I nodded, walked out, sat in my car and stared at the steering wheel for 10 straight minutes. But I couldn't let it go. Not this time. A week later, I started digging. I went back through old family emails, texts, photos. I started piecing together everything we used to ignore. There were things I hadn't noticed back then or things I didn't want to notice. Old hospital bills, police reports with names redacted, whispered conversations between the adults that made no sense at the time but now rang loud and clear. And then I found something. A sealed folder in one of Grandma Luella's old boxes, something she must have kept hidden. Inside were handwritten letters, notes Ray wrote her after he got kicked out. Letters she never responded to but didn't throw away either. One line in one of them stopped me cold. "If anything ever happens to me, it's on Uncle Charlie. And on everyone who protected him." And just like that, I knew what I had to do. I sat in my apartment that night with all the letters spread out on the kitchen table. The old paper smelled like mildew, like it had been tucked away for decades. Some of Ray's writing was smudged, maybe from tears, maybe just time. But the words were there. Pain, anger, betrayal. Begging for someone to believe him. I couldn't sleep again, but this time it wasn't just guilt, it was something sharper. Like a fire had lit in my gut. Uncle Charlie was still out there. Still smiling at church every Sunday. Still getting invited to birthdays and cookouts. Still the same man who, deep down, we all knew was a monster. And I had protected him. Not with lies, but with silence. I made a decision. The next morning, I drove to Henrico County Courthouse and requested public case records. I wasn't sure what I'd find, but I hoped for something. And I did. There had been a complaint. Filed in 2009. Minor involved. Case closed, lack of evidence. Ray's name was nowhere on it, but the timing matched. And there was another name I recognized, a family friend named Steve Baxter. He was our neighbor back then. Ray used to mow his lawn for $5. Steve had been the one to report the concern after an incident at a family barbecue. I remember that day. Ray went inside the house crying, and no one ever said why. Steve still lived in Richmond. I found his address through a property search and went to his place that afternoon. He opened the door slow. Older now, beard grayer, but still sharp eyes. "Can I help you?" he asked. "It's about Ray," I said. "You remember Ray, right? My cousin." He stiffened. "Yeah, I remember." I stepped in closer. "I know what happened. I'm not here to argue. I just need to know. Did you really try to help him back then?" Steve exhaled hard and leaned against the doorframe. "I tried. They shut me out. Said I was sticking my nose where it didn't belong." I told them that boy needed help. I told them something wasn't right. They told me to mind my own business. He looked me over. Why now? Because I was one of the ones who stayed quiet. And I'm done doing that. He nodded slowly. You want my statement? I'll give it. Just say when. I left with Steve's promise, but I also left with something more, his own copy of the report he filed. He kept it all these years. In a folder marked Ray, just in case. That was the twist. Ray wasn't the only one screaming into the dark. Someone had tried to speak, but like everything else, the family buried it. They called Steve crazy behind his back. Said he was too soft. But they all knew. They knew. I scanned the documents. Made copies. Then I did something that felt like setting fire to a bridge. I emailed everything to every single adult in the family. Subject line, I protected a monster. You did too. I attached the letters. Steve's report. Dates, names, places. Then I waited. The fallout didn't take long. By the next day, my phone blew up. Aunts. Uncles. My own mother. Some yelling, some crying. Some begging me to delete it. You don't know what you've done, one of them said. But I did. What I didn't expect. Ray finding out from someone else. He called me that night. First time in 3 years. I picked up on the first ring. You really sent it? He asked, voice tight, like he was holding back years. I did, I said. You deserve better. I should have stood up for you. There was silence. Then a laugh. Not angry. Just exhausted. I don't know what to do with that, he said. You don't have to do anything, I said. But if you want, I'll go with you to the cops. Or court. Or wherever. I'll be the one to say what I saw. For real this time. You think that fixes it? No, I said. But maybe it breaks something that needs breaking. He didn't answer. Just breathed. Then he said, all right. Let's see what happens. Ray and I met the next day at a diner near Midlothian Turnpike. It was quiet, mostly older folks drinking coffee and picking a toast. He looked better than the last time I saw him. Cleaner. More present. But there was still a heaviness in his eyes. Like the world had taught him not to hope too much. We didn't say much over breakfast. Just small talk. Until finally he looked up from his plate and said, if we do this, there's no going back. I know, I said. I'm not looking back. We went to the Henrico Police Department that afternoon. I gave my full statement, what I saw, what I heard, what I felt and buried for all those years. They took it seriously this time, probably because of the old report from Steve and the letters from Grandma's house. Ray gave his statement too. I saw his hands shaking as he spoke. But he got through it. Took a few weeks, but things started moving. Uncle Charlie got called in for questioning. Then he got arrested. The news spread like wildfire. Local coach accused in years-old abuse allegations. The family shattered overnight. Some defended him, said it was all lies, that we were after attention or money. Others stayed silent, not out of loyalty, but because now they were scared of what might come out next. Ray stayed out of the public eye. He refused interviews. Said he didn't want to be the face of anything. Just wanted peace. And for the first time, he started to get it. The trial was hard. Ray had to relive everything. So did I. The defense tried to tear us apart. Called me an unreliable witness for not coming forward back then. Tried to paint Ray as a bitter liar. But the jury saw through it. Charlie was found guilty. Sentenced to 20 years. The courtroom was dead quiet when they read the verdict. Ray didn't cry. Neither did I. We just sat there. Still. Like if we moved too fast, it'd all disappear. Afterwards, outside the courthouse, Ray turned to me. You know what hurts the most, he said. It's not just what he did. It's how many people let it happen. I was one of them, I said. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm not ready to give it, he said. But you stood up. You burned it all down. That counts for something. He walked away without another word. We talk now. Not a lot. But enough. Coffee every couple weeks. Small things. Rebuilding isn't fast. As for me, the rest of the family cut me off. I lost birthday invites, Sunday dinners, all of it. But I don't miss them. You don't miss what was never real to begin with. Ray once told me this family doesn't know how to love without hurting. He was right. But maybe if we're lucky, we can teach ourselves something different. Even if it came too late. Even if it cost everything. Because silence? Silence is just another kind of lie. And I'm done lying.